What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I want to take a look at this clip on Social Security today. And this was amazing to me. This was on CNN, and you had Ben Shapiro, you had, I think, Anna Kasparian, you had some other people on here, Jennings, of course. They were talking about Social Security. And the tragedy of all of this is they had no clue about Social Security and how Social Security works. So I'm going to show you a few different clips. We're going to talk about each clip. I'm going to debunk a lot of the stuff was spread on this newscast. But this is unfortunate. We're talking about CNN here not pushing back on Ben Shapiro when he's saying things that are just blatantly not true, and not pushing back on some of the other guests that were saying things. It's amazing to me. Now, I know they only have a certain amount of time, and each person should have an opportunity to speak. But I mean, this is just terrible. It is terrible. And it hurts because people who are currently receiving benefits right now are going to be impacted by some of the false information that's going around out there. And this is not helping the situation. It's actually hurting the situation. So I'm going to show you this clip. We're going to watch it together. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, if you end up watching this video and you like the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so this first part, let me set this up. So you're going to have Ben Shapiro. He's going to be talking about Social Security, and they keep going to this 65. And this is the first problem that I had with this whole clip. They keep talking about 65. 65 is not retirement. That's not full retirement. Full retirement is right now it's 67 for most people. So this whole 65, that's no longer. And it amazes me that CNN, even in their little caption they have at the bottom there, they're saying 65. And the whole argument here is we should be raising the full retirement age, and Ben Shapiro is saying we should raise the full retirement age or we're going bankrupt. He says we're going bankrupt. There are no specifics here. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about going bankrupt at the end of this video, but he does mention that. And so let's go ahead and play the first clip, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
And see, if you make it to 65 and you're a dude, is now 83. So the real question that I was asking is, when should the government pay you to retire? Which is a sort of a different question than when should you retire. When you should retire is sort of a personal question, and also depends on your definition of retirement. I don't think that, if your goal is to be 65 and sitting on a beach for the rest of your life doing nothing, that the social science tends to say that's not very good for you. You actually should be involved in your community and get involved and still have a side job and all the rest of that.
And you can do those things, but you should still be able to receive Social Security benefits. What is he saying? Okay, well, if you're going to be 65 and you're just going to be sitting on the beach, that's not healthy, is what he's saying. You can be sitting on the beach, still going out, helping out in your community, still going to the gym every day, eating a lot healthier because now you have an opportunity to cook all of your own meals. You don't have to rely on fast food if you're working a lot. And when I was working a lot, I didn't have time to cook sometimes. So I had to order fast food. And I'm one of those fortunate people that was able to retire. Now I cook pretty much all of my own meals, and I do a lot of traveling. And yes, I'll be out on the beach if I have an opportunity to be. So it's just amazing how out of touch some of these people are. And Ben Shapiro's one of them. Now remember, Ben Shapiro, and we did a video on him about a year ago when he said that he thinks no one should be able to retire. And so the fact that he's saying that if we should raise the full retirement age, to me, it's ridiculous. And he's saying, well, if you live to 65, now your life expectancy jumps up to, I think he said 83 for men. So he's talking about it. Well, if you start receiving your Social Security, I guess at 65, which 65 is not the full retirement age, so most people aren't taking Social Security at 65. If you've waited to 65, most of those people are going to wait until 67 before they collect. But he's trying to say, if you do reach age 65, you have a longer life expectancy, so you'll get to 83. But what about those people? And this is what wasn't talked about, and this is another problem that I have with these little short segments that they do, because what about the people who worked 30, 40 years, paid into Social Security, and they pass away before they can collect it? Okay, now sure, survivor benefits comes into play. So if you have, a spouse or, kids, they might be able to receive some of those benefits. And that might not be the case for everyone. You might not be married, you might not have a spouse, you might not have children. And so where does that money go? But they're not really talking about that. And all Ben Shapiro is talking about, well, if you reach 65, you're probably going to get to 83. And if you're a female, if you reach 65, you'll probably live until you're 85. And listen to what he says. And I do give Abby Phillip credit for at least correcting him. And so he makes it seem like the government is just giving you money. It's not like you were contributing to FICA when you were working, your whole working career, you're contributing to FICA. That's not talked about, but she does correct him. So let's go and play this clip. Here we go.
If we really believe that we can't raise the retirement age and we're never going to change that, we will go bankrupt. And all the talk about cutting at the margins, whatever Doge is doing, that's not going to touch the real driver of the systemic debt in the United States. Women are living to 85 if you make it to 65. Men are living to 83 if you make it to 65. That's 20 years on the public dime.
When you're talking about, hold on, when you're talking about the government paying, you're talking about Social Security,
Yes.
which is people's money.
Well, it is. Well, it is not the money you paid in. It's
the system that they pay into.
Well, no.
You're calling.
Okay. Yes, but believe me, I pay a lot in my Social
I
Security.
pay into Social Security. I don't know about
I promise you.
And now, first of all, and this is more, Ben Shapiro has no clue that he's probably, I would say he's probably making over $1 million per year. For sure, he's over 176,100. That's when FICA stops. So that is the cap. It doesn't go any higher than that. So once you reach 176,100, that person is contributing the same amount that Ben Shapiro is contributing to Social Security. But he probably has no clue when it comes to that. And you heard him say there, off the government dime, basically like the government just giving you free money. That is not how the system works. It's a pay-as-you-go system, yes. You contribute when you're working, and then when you retire, people who are currently working are contributing for you. That is the way the system works. And the way that he's putting that out there, he's putting it out there like, look, this is free money, that you're just living off the government. This is why you hear politicians and, oh, this is, entitlements. Like, this is just money that we're giving you. You don't deserve it. This is just money that you're being given. No, you worked hard for that money, and you worked years and years in order to receive those benefits. Now, another thing that I want to correct, it is true when it comes to Social Security benefits, you contribute and then you'll receive Social Security for the rest of your life. And then even after that, if you have a spouse, they can receive Social Security. But you have to live a certain amount of time in order to collect. If you want to look at it this way, let's just say, and this is not the way it is, but let's just say there's a bank. So you work, you contribute to FICA, they put all that money in a bank, and then at the end of when you're ready to retire, let's just say you have $300,000 that was saved up through FICA. Let's just say that. And so what Ben Shapiro is saying is, look, you contribute a certain amount of money, but you're going to take a lot more than that when it comes to you start to collect your benefits. That's not necessarily true. You have to live long enough. And I don't know the exact number when it comes to how long you need to live in order. And it obviously depends on how much money you're receiving in Social Security benefits. But generally, most people, and the reason that they set it up this way when it comes to Social Security, most people are not outliving the amount that they're contributing. Most people don't. You have to live, and that's why they're looking at life expectancy. That's why they do all the calculations. And so it's not like everyone that's receiving Social Security benefits, you're getting this huge windfall of money. So you contribute $10 and you're getting $100, the equivalent in benefits. That's not the way it works. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to the clip. I think Anna Kasparian is going to interrupt Ben Shapiro, and she's going to talk a little bit. Here we go.
The amount that people are taking out is not the amount that is going in, which is why we are going bankrupt.
Okay, but it's not the government just handing out a blank check.
No, it's the government
People
borrowing money to pay. Well, you pay in X dollars, and then you get multiple times X dollars when you retire.
Okay, the government is not borrowing money. Okay, the way that Social Security works, again, you contribute to FICA. So if you're working right now, you're contributing 6.2%, your employer's matching that 6.2%. That money is going to pay out benefits. Pay-as-you-go system, that money goes to pay out benefits to people who are currently receiving benefits. So they're not borrowing, they're actually taking from FICA. That money is going to pay out those benefits. Now, they don't have enough coming through FICA to pay out benefits at 100%. And so what they're doing is we have trust funds. $2.7 trillion sitting in trust funds. They're taking some of that, a portion of that money, to help pay out benefits to 100%. That is what they're doing. And that's why they're talking about the trust funds in about 8 or 9 years. The trust funds will be completely depleted. So that $2.7 trillion will no longer be there. At that time, if Congress doesn't act and they don't reform Social Security to bring in more revenue, what is going to happen is people that are receiving Social Security benefits, you're only going to be able to receive what's coming through FICA. You're no longer going to have that trust fund. And so that's going to mean a cut across the board of about 23%. But we're not borrowing money to pay people that are receiving Social Security benefits. That's not how it works. It's FICA. That's the money that's contributing, as well as the trust funds.
Is how the system works. It is not a lockbox. This is what Al Gore was arguing about in 2000.
The other part of this, though, is at 65, right? I mean, yeah.
And they keep saying 65, which is very frustrating. And I guess the whole premise here is if you reach age 65, you're going to reach, on average, you'll reach age 83 if you're a man and 85 if you're a woman. But stop saying 65. 67 is when people are going to be able to collect Social Security benefits if they want to collect their full benefits. Sure, you can start collecting at 65, but you're going to receive reduced benefits. And why wait until you're 65 to start collecting Social Security benefits? You can wait 2 more years and get your full benefits. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to take out Social Security early, you would probably do it at 62 because that's the earliest age that you can take Social Security. And so it doesn't really make sense to wait until you're 65, but they keep saying 65.
You might be in great health, but many people are working hard jobs. They're on their.
It depends on what job.
I'm saying if you're working back-breaking labor, I guess off that you should be.
By the way, I just totally reject what you just said about how we're going bankrupt due to Social Security. Really, you don't think like the trillions of dollars we've spent on wars in the Middle East might have something to do with that?
It's not even
our national debt.
What we spend on Social
our national
Security.
debt shot up significantly after 9/11.
Okay, now she's talking about national debt. Okay, now I have to talk a little bit about after we'll let it play out, but I want you just to hear about national debt and hear how you have I think it's Jennings that comes on and talks about spending and all this stuff. But just listen.
After we started invading countries in the Middle East.
You should look at a chart of
Now we're
national
at
debt. In 2008, it went
hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel, on Ukraine. I mean, honestly, these foreign conflicts have a lot more to do with our national debt. As
oh, they do
opposed
by
to us
numbers.
paying
That is just untrue.
They have everything to do about our national debt. Social Security does not add to our national debt, not one penny. Okay, and if you don't believe me, there's a clip going around. Ronald Reagan is actually saying that. Social Security doesn't add to our national debt. Because remember, when we're talking about Social Security, they're taking that money from FICA contributions, 6.2% you contribute, your employer matches at 6.2%. They're taking that money, and then they have a trust fund with $2.7 trillion sitting in the trust fund, and it's only to be allocated for Social Security. So we're not borrowing money, and nothing is being added to our national debt. But if you watch this segment and you listen to these experts or these analysts or whatever you want to call them, they're talking about national debt and Social Security in the same sentence. It should never be talked about in the same sentence because Social Security has nothing to do with the national debt.
I think Israel is a bigger portion of our budget than Social Security.
I think we
Medicaid.
spend way too much money on military aid
mathematical
for foreign countries.
You think Israel is more
Do
than
you
Social
think
Security?
that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
As a matter of expenditures and math,
that
yes.
both entitlements and defense are a big issue. I actually think Ben has a point here. I think that the nature of aging has changed. I think retirement is evolving. I mean, you know, my husband is 71 years old. He's still writing books. I'm 55. I hope to work for another 15 years at least. But I do think it depends on the kind of job you do. And it starts to get into the devil's in the details here, because if I'm working with my hands and I'm 65, you know, that's a problem. Maybe technology can help, et cetera. But there's got to be some understanding of what people are doing. There's got to be probably some means testing, which gets to this point about the growing wealth divide, because there really are two Americas here.
Okay, so that was the end of the segment there. Now, you heard Jennings at the end talking about budget, okay? And he uses the word budget, but they're talking about deficit at the same time. But when it comes down to it, yes, Social Security is a huge part of our budget, but it's not adding to our national debt, and that's what's important. The money is there, and it's paying out benefits at 100% right now. And so when you start saying, okay, well, if you're looking, because what a lot of people like to talk about, well, look, they're spending so much money, $1.5 trillion every year is going to Social Security. Yes, but that money is walled off. That money is coming through FICA. That money is coming through the trust funds. So what's the problem? Just because it's a big part of the budget doesn't mean that you should be, oh, it's a big part of the budget, let's cut from Social Security, because that's what they're what they're getting to. They're getting to the fact that if we're spending $1.4 trillion on Social Security and we're spending $1 trillion on national defense, well, maybe we should cut a little bit from the national defense and then cut a little bit from Social Security. That's not how it works. The money is coming from different places. We're talking about the general fund, and we're talking about the actual money that's going into Social Security that can't be touched. And that's the key there. You have some politicians, they want to get their hands in Social Security. They want to get their hands on that money because it's like I said, $1.4 trillion. If they can find a way to save a little bit of that money and pull some of that money over to the general fund so they can spend it on other things, they would love to do that. Or privatize Social Security, take a little bit from the trust funds that we already have, or take a little bit from FICA that people are currently contributing and invest that money in the stock market. And why do they want to do that? Because it's going to help the wealthy. It's going to help wealthy people who are investing in the stock market, help wealthy people who have, a stake in it, or they're earning commissions on these transactions that are going through the stock market. And you have, like I said, $2.7 trillion sitting in the trust funds. They can take that money and invest that in the stock market, or take your individual FICA that you have coming through. And you heard the last lady there talking about, look, my husband is 71 and he's still working. He's an author. Okay, well, an author, that's kind of an easy job to do when you're 71. But if you're out, and she did talk a little bit about, it depends on the job. And so we have to look at the reality here. The example that she uses as an author at 71 being able to do his job is a lot different than a fisherman or someone working as a firefighter or a police officer or even a teacher for that aspect. Some of these jobs, they demand a lot more. You got to be on your feet a lot longer. And I mean, it's just, so when we're talking about raising the full retirement age, understand what they're saying too. If you are talking about raising the full retirement age, you're talking about cutting benefits, because, and Shapiro said it himself, if you reach age 65, your life expectancy goes up to 83 if you're a man. If you raise the full retirement age up, let's say you raise it from 67, because that's what it is right now, to 70, that's 3 years that you're not going to be able to receive your Social Security benefits. You're going to have to wait, or you can take them if you want, but you're going to take them at a reduced benefit. And so that would cut your benefits by 3 years. And so over the span of your life, you're going to receive less in benefits. And that's why they're talking about raising the full retirement age, because they want to cut your benefits. That's it. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.